Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The Saturday girl, Mary McCallan, has announced a new date for which the dualling of the A9 will be complete. It's another date that will be missed, of course, because it's only 2035. They've given themselves nearly 12 years to complete it, so don't hold your breath. They haven't even bought all the land yet. They haven't guaranteed anything. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is signed off. Nothing has even been agreed. And yet they magically say they're going to do this in 12 years. Well, it's taken 12 years so far. They've spent 300 million on bits of the road they haven't even built. This budget is spiralling out of control. The time frame is beyond a joke. And it just goes to show how inept and inopportune it is to allow morons to make decisions about major infrastructure. Rather than saying to them, look, go ahead and do it. We'll stand back and we'll just keep paying the bills. They've gone, no, we've got to interfere. No, we've got to do this. No, we're the SNP. We've got to have everything controlled. Political officers in every decision-making process. And it's just a joke. And that is why it's over budget, over time, and it's going to be a complete pig's ear. Wait a minute, it already is. 2025 was the supposed completion date. It's going to be 10 years beyond that. And even then, it won't be complete. Mary McCallan will be collecting her pension before this road is done. Let's have a look and see how bad it is. So the SNP finally sets a new, final, allegedly completion date, maybe, of 2035, but it fails to guarantee a single contract. It still hasn't done all the land purchases yet. They still haven't agreed all the designs. They haven't agreed route changes. Nothing. They haven't even settled on a final price. How can they possibly say it'll definitely be done by 2035? It won't be done by 2045. I'll be whirling in my grave by the time this road is finished. Saturday girl Mary McCallan is asking MSPs to trust her government's plan for the Highland Road project, despite no contracts being secured and 16 years of delays. When someone with the history of the SNP says, trust me, you know that what they're actually saying is F you. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them. And a woman of her very limited experience is in no way speaking from authority when she says, oh, it'll be ready by 2035. She has never worked in construction. She has never worked in planning. She has never done anything on a major industrial project before. Why should we believe her? Especially given how much it's failed up to this point. Dates come and gone. Budgets massively over. New dates destroyed. New budgets over. Transport secretary after transport secretary after transport secretary. People not knowing. Contracts not signed. Work done without a signed contract. It's bad. And she says, trust me. No, Mary, I think not. Mary McCallan has laid out the SNP government's latest plan for a rolling programme of construction for the A9 road between Perth and Inverness. However, it's been met with scepticism from MSPs. Now, they're talking 10 miles a year, effectively, with what's left, 10 miles a year. Less than that, 9 miles a year, I think it works out. 9 miles a year? Are you having a laugh? Less than a mile a month? 3/4 of a mile a month, effectively. That's what they're saying. That's not even snail pace. Snails will go further than that. It's a ridiculously low. How can they justify this? What kind of people are building this road? I'll tell you who. Road builders who are having political oversight. That's who. If you said to the road builder, look, get it done in X amount of years and we'll give you a bonus, boom, that road will be built overnight. Mary McCallan has laid out the SNP government's latest plan for a rolling programme of construction for the A9 between Perth and Inverness. However, it's been met with scepticism from MSPs. The Cabinet Secretary for Transport Net Zero and Just Transition said the dualling of the road between the two cities will now be completed by 2035, 10 years after the original deadline. but she has come under scrutiny for failing to announce secured contracts and instead telling MSPs that the first contracts are expected in 2024. I don't think that's going to happen because politicians, and particularly SNP politicians, it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? She said the government has got a proud history of delivering major projects. Now, this is where your jaw drops. What? Name one project. Name one project. No, I can't either. What a load of horse shit. A proud history of developing major projects. Holy God almighty. Anyway, MSPs say trust has been broken since the first A9 commitment in 2007. The plan aims for nearly 50% of the road to be dualled by the end of 2030, rising to 85% by the end of 2033, and with the final 11 sections expected to open by the end of 2035. In your dreams. I can't believe that. How's she standing there saying that with a straight face? Got to give her it. Hey, she's got some cojones to stand there and says, oh, we deliver major projects. Not one. Not a single one. And everything you do is rubbish and expensive and late and failing. Major projects, my arse. Anyway, Mid-Scotland and Fife Conservative MSP Murdo Fraser questioned how confident the NAT Minister is in the ability of contractors to fulfil the projects within the time frame. He said, what confidence can we have that the timescales set out to date are actually deliverable, even supposing that the funding can be found? Now, remember, this is a party that can't even pay for schools, education, health service. And yet they think, oh, look, we're going to grow some magic money on our magic money tree and pay for the dualling of 93 miles of, or whatever it is, of the A9 magically overnight. Well, hardly overnight, isn't it? It's going to take 30 years. 2007 to 2000, probably nearer 2040. So it'll be over 30 years to build this road at a snail's pace. It's ridiculous, isn't it? The plan has considered efforts to minimise disruption, market capacity and, of course, affordability, said Miss McCallan, reading a prepared script by some faceless wonk because she doesn't understand any of those words. She told the Hollywood the proposal comes with the greatest certainty that I'm able to provide. In other words, no certainty, whatever. The greatest certainty? She's not certain. How could she possibly be certain? She knows nothing of the construction industry. Literally nothing of the construction industry. I've worked in it for 35 years. I know exactly how long it takes to build shit and how much it costs and the expected delivery frames. I used to do the budget for this shit. I was the accountant for the company. I worked hand in hand with the financial director and the managing director. We did budgets. We did time trails. We worked out build frames, so we knew what phasing to do, the cost of phasing. I knew the price down to the brick of every house we were doing. I knew the delivery times. I knew the lead times. I had Gantt charts coming out of my arse. I lived in the world of spreadsheets. My spreadsheets were all interactive, so you changed one in one spreadsheet and it changed everything in other spreadsheets. The lot. I was a god of the spreadsheets. This woman, oh yes, well, I expect it to be ready by 2035. How can you possibly know? You know nothing. Nothing of construction. Nothing of accounts. Nothing of contracts. Nothing of human nature. You've got a very tiny, limited life experience and none of it in a real job. And all you do is sit there and mouth what goes into here from some policy wonk or civil servant who'd like to look good. You can't guarantee anything. For heaven's sake. Anyway, her attempt to preemptively blame Westminster for all the delays was followed by accusations of excuse after excuse after excuse from the Labour benches, because it isn't Westminster. They're not the ones screwing up this contract, are they? Labour MSP Alex Rowley said, today, 16 years on, and excuse after excuse after excuse later, the Cabinet Secretary expects us to be happy that by 2030, 23 years after the 2007 commitment, they will have completed less than 50% of this project. With the new day of 2035 for completion between Perth and Inverness, some 28 years after the initial promise, one has to wonder how on earth the Cabinet Secretary will say, with a straight face, that the Highlands can have confidence that the A9 dualling programme will be delivered then and in full. None at all. Absolutely none at all. It is an absolute dog's breakfast. And it's just not going to happen, is it? I mean, it literally isn't going to happen. Anyway, I'll round up and come up. But we'll take one last look at a woman who does not know what she's doing, why she's doing it. She doesn't understand the words that are coming out of her mouth because she's just reading them from a prepared script. She has no concept of timeframes, of costs, of budgeting. She does no certain terms about compulsory purchases. She has no idea about ground planning. She won't know. Someone will say, "What are we going to do about this groundwater problem?" And she'll go, "I don't know what that means." No, of course you won't. Well, shall we do balancing ponds? I don't know what that means. Shall we reroute or shall we plough on through and pile? I don't know what that means. Because she doesn't know. The wrong approach was taken. Allowing a minister to make these decisions was wrong. They should have gone straight out to tender and said, build the road. You take an all-risk policy, build the road. And done. And walk away from it and let the contractors get on with it. Much quicker, much more efficient, because the contractors don't dick about. They get the job done because they need to make money. Anyway, I shall stop and round off and come up. Now, as well as being the accountant for that firm, I was also the operations manager. Now, that's not the build manager. That's a senior position. The build manager is like, he's God when it comes to actual building. I was the operations manager. I made sure that the build manager had everything he needed. He had the staffing levels. He had the deliveries on time. He had all his bills were paid. He knew that this was coming in then, this was coming in then, this was coming in then. He oversaw all the site managers, things like that. Very senior position. It was technically a board level position. He should have been the build director, but they just didn't want to go and put another director on the board. But he was that level. I was the next level down. But I made sure I had lots of bosses because I had my financial director, my managing director, and the build manager. They were my three bosses, and I fulfilled all their needs, and not in a sexual way. But I'd sit there and I'd run an accounts office for the financial director, but I'd do the budgets, I'd do the forecasting, I'd do the year-end stuff, do all the VAT, do all that stuff. Then with the managing director, we'd do all the budgets when we were doing land purchasing. He wanted to go out and buy this, so we'd sit there and go, here's the site, how many acres, bang, work it in. What build we put in, put 10 of them, 15 of these, 7 of them. We knew how much these cost. Boom, 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 boom. Spine road, arterial road, boom, 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 boom. Put them all in. We'd have the whole thing. How much are we going to sell them for? That'll go for that. We knew how much everything was cost. We knew how much we'd sell it for. We had that gap. That was our profit. And then we took that off what we'd go and pitch and say, right, this is what we're going to pay for the land. And we'd get the land because we were down to penny perfect. So we knew. And we'd always go slightly over, but not much, just to make sure we got it. We got the land and we got it. And we were knocking out 28% profit after everything. And it was nice. And that's 28% profit on purchase. Because as it takes time to build and the prices were rising, God, by the end we were doing 50% profit. It was cracking. But that's what you do. You know this thing and you know what the build times are. And we would build, and sometimes early, sometimes a little late, weather or industrial. But never this late. I'd have lost my job if I was that late. Never happened. Stop letting politicians involve themselves in major projects. Just tell the politicians, hand out the contract and let the bloody contractors get on with it, and then go back later and pick up the key. Interference. We used to get interference in the councils. God almighty, hated councils. And then we realised it was much easier to, I can't use the word bribe, encourage. Very nice night in the Ritz, see a show. Let's come down, have a good time. Things like that. And then all of a sudden, planning permission, nice. Allegedly, I didn't do anything. I did nothing wrong. I'm just talking the hypotheticals. Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry about going on a bit at the end. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and don't let the SNP do major projects. It's all going to end in tears, if it ever ends. Bye.